In this video, we're going to talk about audiences because audiences on Facebook is really everything, right? So if you think about the way Facebook works versus other channels like Google Ads, for example, Google Ads search specifically, it's like you can deploy a campaign on Google Ads search and get relevant traffic because you know what people are searching for. Now on Facebook, it's different because people come to Facebook for different reasons. People don't go to Facebook, for example, to search for products most of the time. They're there to share information with, or pictures, media with stories, whatever, with family and friends. So you have to be able to figure out, like, how do you get in front of these people? Because people are people. They're still, even on the B2B side, like there are people that use Facebook that are attached to specific businesses, right? So how do you get your services or products in front of the right audience? And Facebook has really 3 different audience types. So when you go into create audience, you'll see this. And this is, by the way, in Ads Manager. You can see the URL up here. So from Ads Manager, you can always select on the side here and go right into audiences. It should be here. Of course, things change constantly in digital marketing, so it might change at some point, but that's at least where it is now when I'm recording this video. So from the audience section, create audience, you have custom audiences, lookalike audiences, and saved audiences. So custom audiences are people who have already shown interest in the business or product, and you can create audiences from different sources, right? So when you're first starting out, you have to think about, like, how do I get to the correct audience? There's 2 different ways about going at this. So you can go directly to your audience. Let's say that the advertiser has a gigantic contact list. You can upload that list as a seed list, or you can create audiences based off the traffic to, like, an Instagram page that you own, or a Facebook page that you own, or even your website if you've been running the Pixel for a while. And the Pixel is just obviously a little piece of JavaScript code that records traffic and sends information back to Facebook. So these are what we call seed audiences, right? So this is where you would go and create like a seed audience based off of real engagement with your brand already. Now there's another approach to this, and that's just simply moving people from the top of the funnel and having them self-declare interest. So you can actually do targeting, do very broad targeting, upper funnel targeting for specific interests and behaviors. And then as ads show to those people and they become engaged with that ad unit, maybe they watch a video, or maybe they click through, or maybe they make a comment, or they like it, or they love it, or whatever, you can build an audience off of that engagement as well. So it's almost it's a full funnel approach, right? So that's a different approach, going from full funnel and then measuring engagement off of interactions with the ad unit and creating new audiences off of that. So that would be where we start at as a saved audience. So let's just kind of go through this. This is all about audiences, not about building ads, but I want to start at the top. Let's talk about custom audiences. So within custom audiences, you have different sources for your audience. So if we had been running the Pixel on the website for a while, we would start with the website source, right? So we'd say, okay, let's create an audience of people who've been on the website for a while. I'm not going to go through this all the way, but you can see all website visitors, visitors who visit specific web pages, visitors by time spent, which is additional engagement. And then so this is jumping ahead, but from your events, there are different events that you could be measuring. Within Facebook, that'll be a different video, but page view content, contact leads, and there's a bunch of, I think there's 12 or so, at least. Last check is probably higher now, but so there's different ways to go about this. In this particular case, I am just creating an audience off of website activity. Now, if I'm a company that has an app, I could do this off of app activity, right? So, or catalog activity, or customer list, like we talked about, right? If I have activity offline, it's something I can maybe upload back into Facebook to be able to target very specific prospects or customers for upsells, perhaps. So there's different ways to go about this, or there's other sources that are part of Meta or Facebook, right? So Video, for example. Let's say that I wanted to. This is one of them that we do. Where did we go here? Come on. Okay, so in video, so you can do different things such as engagement, right? People who have viewed at least X number of seconds of your video or X percentage of your video. So we'll do that as well. We'll create a lot of these audiences up front, especially if the client has videos. So we'll deploy the videos and then we will start measuring engagement off of video consumption, which is another great, because basically you're having somebody who's like, hey, I'm interested. Right? I watched your video. I'm interested. Retarget me, right? So it's like, hey, I'm in. So a very powerful way of being able to put your advertising in front of the right person. And there's a bunch of others, right? So if we ever run lead forms, which is another type of ad where Facebook pops open a lead form, you could target anybody who submitted that or filled it in but did not submit it. Instant experiences, shopping, so anybody who's added to cart or looked at products or looked at product categories. AR experience, Instagram, anybody who's subscribed to Instagram or has viewed the feed or liked anything over there or loved or whatever they call it. But events, so any event postings, if anybody's interacted with events, Facebook page, interacted with your Facebook page, joined your page, commented, etc. Engagement on the page itself. We would tend to do that as well. And then on Facebook listings. So where we typically will add audiences up front would be, website. That's a no-brainer. Customer list, not always, but if the customer has one, it's definitely a great way to get started. Video engagement, like I mentioned before, 100%. Instagram is another big one, and then Facebook page. So I would say that that's usually where we start on that, okay? So this is more people who've been engaged with the brand, they're familiar with the company, just kind of going as quickly as we can to like bottom of funnel, even though they haven't shown commercial intent. But at least we are past the point of awareness. Like we're already in, we can assume that there's some awareness in that we're trying to generate consideration if you think about the different stages of the buying journey or the funnel. All right. So another way to create an audience, so once you create an audience, you can always create a lookalike, right? So it's like, say that I create an audience off of my website traffic, I can then create a lookalike audience, which is a mirror reflection of that particular audience. Maybe that's not such a great way to put it because it's not identical, right? So it's a lookalike audience. That's why they call it that, right? So it's a lookalike. So it's not if it's a core audience, then Facebook will do whatever it can to create another audience that's kind of the same, right? So it says here, create a lookalike audience based on people who like your page, conversion pixels, and then it's a gigantic audience. A lot of times it's more than 2 million. So Facebook uses a multitude of data points to be able to create this lookalike. They don't divulge details, obviously, but it allows you to be able to create lookalikes off of your core audiences, which is a great way also to get a campaign going. So a lot of times we'll create off of a custom audience rather. So we'll create a bunch of different custom audiences, such as website traffic, Instagram page audiences, Facebook page audiences, etc. Maybe a customer list, and then create lookalikes off of that, which are much bigger audiences. And then we target those separately in their own ad groups to see if we can move the needle on performance. So that's another way of going about it, right? So it's almost automatic. Like when you create a custom audience, it's going to ask you anyway if you want to create a lookalike, and the answer is pretty much always yes, because it's something that we want to test. And a lot of times these lookalike audiences do quite well. Okay. And then the last one is saved audience. So this is, let's say that you're a brand new business, or this is a brand new business, and they don't really have much in terms of existing traffic, or they don't have a lot going on their Instagram. Maybe they don't even have like a contact list at all. So here you can tap into existing audiences that Facebook has. And this is more, like I said before, more of an upper funnel approach. So going after very large audiences, and then through your ads, through your engaging advertising. So being able to get the engagement through the ad, where somebody is then retargeted based off of that engagement, right? So we can use existing audiences here. So we can actually, if we have some audience, we can use existing audiences. We can exclude certain audiences as well. But really, most of the work is down here in the detailed targeting. So include people who match, and then you can just do anything, right? So let's say that I want to target anybody who uses HubSpot, for example. So we can see here, interests, HubSpot, software. If I were to target that, that's like, 6 to 7 million people. So you can see these are really, really big audiences. Now I can exclude. A lot of times it makes sense to exclude as well. So tighten that up. So exclude demographics, interest, or behaviors. You can do that. So you can narrow your audience as well, right? You could say, but it must also match. So it's like, and must also match such and such, right? So you can really tighten it up. For example, let's say that, HubSpot, but I only want I don't know why you do that, but maybe you're just targeting agricultural professionals, right? So then you'd be like, must also match agricultural interest or whatever. So you can create some pretty creative audiences this way, but again, they're not like these tiny focused audiences. They're pretty big, but Facebook, like they say, when I've talked to them in their concierge services, especially, they talk about bigger is better, right? Bigger audiences are better for the algorithm to figure out rather quickly who the true target audience is. And I've seen this many times, so it actually works. Facebook is so good that a lot of times it can figure out your audience without doing any targeting. Now, that's not something I recommend at all in the beginning, but it's something that would be tested at some point based off of the ad copy, based off of the landing page, the content, the full analysis. Like Facebook knows, what's in your ads, what's in the ads, what's on the landing page. Obviously, the traffic signals, like when somebody is interacting, it can figure out rather quickly like who the best audience is. So it doesn't always need these audience signals as targeting options. So keep that in mind. Again, I wouldn't launch with no audience targeting at first, but these are just guide rails to be able to help Facebook find the right audience, and it can be quite powerful. Like you can find very, very distinct detailed targeting audience segments. And once you find something, you can actually run audiences against themselves and see pretty significant differences in performance, and be able to just ride a certain audience over a pretty long period of time, and be able to garner high performance out of that audience. Now, nothing ever lasts forever because things change, of course. So then you have to introduce new audiences and be able to test them constantly. But I just wanted to take you through the audience portion because there's a lot here. And of course, you can also narrow this down by age, right? So I always think about the product or the service. Who does this really appeal to? Is it somebody that's an older demographic, younger demographic? Geographically speaking, where would you be targeting the ad? As you change these things, this estimated audience size will change. People living or recently in this location, or people living in this location. So there's a bunch of traveling in this location. So make sure you're careful about those selections. And then gender, of course. All right. So also, this is important to be careful about this as well, because if it's a product that might seem like a product for men, there could be women that buy that for their husbands or boyfriends or family members or whatever. So that's not always cut and dry either. So that's really about it for most of the audience development. Hopefully this was helpful, and happy hunting for the perfect audience. Thank you.